I really believe it is the future of triathlon.
This truly is groundbreaking stuff, moving between real and virtual racing.
For triathlons, the distances, terrain covered and time a race takes to complete makes it more of a participation sport than an easy to broadcast spectator sport. However, Super League Triathlon is attempting to turn that around, combining a format of short and sharp triathlons run by the best athletes in the world with esports to allow viewers and broadcasters to immerse themselves in visually engaging content. I'm here with Michael Dolst, CEO and co-founder of Super League Triathlon. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Heather.
Hey. So, can you tell us about Super League Triathlon, what you're doing, and the format you're pursuing here?
Oh, of course, happy to. The vision of Super League Triathlon, as you said, is to make it a spectator sport. And we started the company in 2017. And to make it a spectator sport, as you also said, traditional triathlon is quite lengthy. There's not too much action happening. So we can kind of consider how do we create something for modern media, for the modern attention span. So we made it very, very short, very exciting. We changed the formats a little bit, so it's always about swim, bike, and run, not necessarily in that order. And we also added gimmicky tools like eliminations, short shoots, etc., etc. We started off in 2017, and we pride ourselves, obviously, to be an innovative company. So we've always looked at what is next, right? But traditionally, we started with what we call our championship series, which is still very, very relevant product. It's a closed loop racing circuit, let's say like Formula One, where the best athletes race similar formats over in different locations. Now, being an outdoor event, 2020 COVID challenged us a little bit, and we added on a new format that was actually conceived pre-COVID, but fast-tracked through COVID, which is what we call the Esports of triathlon, and it's been an exciting journey since that started.
Cool, excellent. So what are the key broadcasting and fan engagement issues behind real-world triathlon? I mean, you kind of touched on, not much happens for a very long period of time, but, how is Super League Triathlon attempting to remedy these issues?
Yeah, so your traditional triathlon and even the Olympic distance, which would be considered one of the shorter form triathlons, would take 2 hours minimum for racing, right? And obviously, triathlon promotes itself as a gender-neutral sport, so we would have both men and women races aired, which means that ultimately you don't get anywhere shorter than a 4 or 5 hour broadcast window, right? Which again, for a general sports fan, it's quite lengthy. And then typically, in the other problem with traditional form triathlon is it's not necessarily very exciting. It's a race that unfolds slowly, and ultimately it ends up in a running race typically. So that's kind of the two main issues for triathlon to attract new audiences. And what we have done is to really make it all a lot shorter, right? And never a discipline takes more than 6 minutes. We change disciplines. We have different formats, and then we have engagements where athletes, through performing early on in the race, can win something that rewards them later on in the race. Athletes that lag behind are eliminated. So there's constantly something happening. Also, we create our courses to become very tight and technical, which comes to a crash, it creates commotion, but also adds the element that we can invite more spectators, right? Because if your course is 40 kilometers long, very tricky to fill that up with spectators. If your course is a kilometer long, very easy to have a lot of spectators there, that which again creates a more engaging format, a more engaging atmosphere that then translates to the viewers at home.
So what are the key broadcasting and fan engagement issues behind real-world physical triathlons? I mean, you already said, they go on for a very long period of time with, a slow burn kind of excitement level. And how is Super League Triathlon attempting to remedy these problems with your format?
Indeed. So the main topic is a lack of excitement, right? And a lack of excitement because it is lengthy, a lack of excitement because the formats, the storytelling develops very, very slowly, and it typically ends up in a running race. And which is engaging for a participant because they know the emotions that go behind it, but it's not engaging for a spectator. So what we have done is we've reinvented the formats, made it all a lot shorter, and it's still about swim, bike, and run, but we repeat the swim, bike, and run elements a lot more, right? So a single discipline would never take more than 6 minutes. We also create our courses, make them a lot more tighter, so it becomes much more technical, which also means sometimes it leads to a crash. And because we have the tighter courses, we can also it fills up with spectators, which obviously then adds on the atmosphere, etc. And then beyond the changes to the format and the race setup, we've also added on elements that I think a younger audience can understand, and that are maybe a little bit controversial, like live eliminations, there's short shoots, so elements of racers able to win something that they can then benefit on later in the race, right? So it creates a much more dynamic environment.
Cool. And why is now the right time to gamify triathlon?
But now is the right time. I think I always say 20 years ago, people looked at the game and that's what they saw, right? Now, obviously, with social media, etc., people want to have a 360 view. So they don't only watch the game, they want to know who plays, etc., etc. And the ability to talk to the fans and the audience through all these different medias allows us to educate about all these changes and what does that mean, and engage in that. So I think that's why now is the right time to go in this direction. The thing that I also want to talk about is our esports bit that we have going on now, right? Which is slightly different than our outdoor triathlon. It's an idea that was conceived pre-COVID, but was then pushed in with COVID, and this is again the next level of innovation in my opinion, and the next level of catering for a younger audience. Here we're the perfect blended event. It's a real life swim, and then the bike and the run takes place on a treadmill or on a stationary bike, but is then simulated into a virtual world that also adds on extra challenges of resistance because of terrain and extra challenges of competition. And this format is really truly innovative. I think we're, as far as I know, we're the only sport that really has this blended element. And I think this also banks on the future and on audience engagement.
And why do you actually need to bring the esports element into the mix here? What is actually the goal? What are the advantages of the gamification of a triathlon, both for the athletes taking part, because they are the best in the world, and the viewers?
I think there's a couple of things. I think generally the IOC, so the more traditional element of sports, is looking for innovation. They're launching something that they call the Olympic Virtual Series, which looks at engaging that younger audiences, and obviously getting closer to these younger audiences is leveraging the gamification of sport, right? And we are that perfect blend. I think is very unique. Then the other element is obviously that technology has now brought sports to the homes. You have companies like Peloton, Zwift, which actually allow people to do a spinning class or race the bike at home, right? What we are now doing is bringing professional sport into that realm, right? By allowing people to simulate, use the same simulator experience that has now been fast tracked through Zwift, and do an actual race with the best in the world through that, right? So I think the combination of an aspiration of reaching that younger audiences, and then technological advantages which have been fast tracked through COVID, being able to deliver that now makes it the right time.
Cool. And how are you creating an immersive viewing experience through your storytelling in your broadcast? You're using Zwift, you've got real athletes out there. So how do you actually, keep everyone gripped?
Well, we have more tools than ever before, right? Because through using technology, we get so much more data. And yeah, everybody's interested in data, heart rate, power, speed. Everybody wants to see how they compare to each other. So through using technology, we have much more data. Because of the static nature, because we use the treadmill and the stationary bike, we can actually really go close up on on the athletes and see them sweat, see them suffer. We don't miss a single emotion. But on the other hand, we also have then the gamification where you can actually see the terrain, the ups and downs. You can see the competition, how it unfolds. So I think we have more elements than ever before, right? To actually showcase what's going on between data, up close and personal, and then the virtual environment where you see the race develop.
Awesome. And lastly, what is the end goal here? So where will we see Arena Games Triathlon going in the future?
I think there's first of all, and that's what we have done with the brand of Super League is first we inspire. So we use our strength as a rights holder with professional racers and the best athletes in the world. But also we're also a media house, as I said before, right? It's not just about the sport, it's not just about the event, it's about the periphery and engaging the audiences again around it, right? Now with the Arena Games and with the Championship Series, we can inspire more people to become a fan of triathlon, but also to pick up swimming, biking, and running ultimately, right? And through technology, what we have in with the Arena Games, we can actually engage more people to come and race. I look at myself and I'm saying I've never actually competed in so many events as during the pandemic because I could do it from my garage, on my treadmill, or on my bike, right? So I think so a lot of people in our industry, in the events industry, are afraid of what technology will do and eliminate the actual events. I actually think it opens up to a whole new group of participants that wouldn't have come to the events in the first place because, well, they're not really sure about safety concerns. It's logistically very challenging to coordinate families, etc. So now you can do it at home, and I believe this will be, with the Arena Games, we're painting the pathway to a whole new element of an event concept that would reach out a lot more people through technology.
Sounds brilliant. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.